Good morning. My name is Nick, and I am a customer service representative with the Assessment Review Commission. I would like to thank Legislator Drucker for inviting me to speak with you today to help you learn how to file a grievance online for free without the need to hire a company to do it for you. At this time, I would like to turn the microphone over to Legislator Drucker for a few opening remarks.
Good morning, Legislator. You need to unmute your microphone, sir.
Better. Okay, good morning. Thank you, Nick. I'm Legislator Ronnie Drucker. I want to thank Rob Shapiro, Michael, everyone else from ARC, the Assessment Review Commission, for hosting this with me. I want to thank everyone here who's joining tonight, this morning, on this very important presentation. You know, Nassau County has undergone a reassessment for the first time in almost 10 years, and reassessing 400,000 homes in Nassau County, and it was a monumental task which was done by all industry standards extremely accurately. However, it's not perfect, and this presentation allows everyone to challenge their assessment if it's not accurate. If they feel it is wrong, or if it's not what they think is the appropriate assessment, this presentation is going to be the perfect opportunity for you to learn how to do it inexpensively, like free, instead of paying a tax grievance firm, and hopefully get the results that you're looking for. So I'm grateful for the administration and the Assessment Review Commission for taking the time out to do this today on behalf of the constituents in my district, and I look forward to this presentation. Thank you again for hosting it.
Great. Thank you, Legislator Drucker. Before we begin, I want to remind everyone to take advantage of the Q&A feature of this online event. If you have any questions, please enter them into the Q&A, and we will address as many of them as we can at the end of the presentation. Let's begin. So the first thing we have right now is the Assessment Review Commission website up. You can visit this by going to www.askarcnassau.com. And once you're at this page, you have a few options. I just want to go over what we're going to do in this presentation today. So we're going to show you how to file a grievance online. You don't need to leave your home for this. You don't need to hire a company. You can do this, and you'll see how quick and easy it is. The advantages of doing it online is that you get real-time updates. So anytime there has been a decision made on anything you get sent, you will get an email sent directly to you instead of waiting on the post office. It's also great, saves paper. You don't have to print anything. It's all just digital. You can do it from your phone or from the computer. We're going to go through the desktop today. When we're filing, I'm going to show you two ways to file. I'm going to show you how to file online using the Sales Locator tool, which is optional, but it's a very helpful tool. And I'm also going to show you how to file without the Sales Locator tool. Once we go over the two different ways to file, I'm also going to show you how to add attachments to a document, to an appeal online. And if anything else, we'll also go over withdrawing your appeal. This can all be done online. And then, like I said before, at the end of the presentation, we'll go over questions if we have the time for it. So the first thing we're looking at is the homepage for ARC. And on the right side of the page, you'll see that it says ARC 2022-2023 brochure. Now I'm just going to click on that just to go over the calendar for ARC this year. So if you clicked on that, this is what you would get. This is a brochure. Clearly it's meant to be printed out, but the information's true regardless. You can see on the left side, it links that will answer any of your questions or how to file again. And then in the middle, the calendar is there. Now, the filing period opened on January 4th, and it has now been extended to April 30th of this year. You'll be seeing that on the slides moving forward, but I just want to make sure it's clear that you have until April 30th to submit your appeal. You can do it via arrow until midnight of the filing deadline, but we always like to just suggest to do it now, get it out of the way. You'll see how easy it is, and this way it's out of your mind, and you can rest easy knowing that you've submitted your appeal on time. Once the filing period ends, ARCs will then start reviewing the appeal that they received, and homeowners will then have a response to their appeal by March 31st, 2022. If you are unhappy with the results that you get from there, then starting April 1st of 2022, you can file SCAR with the county clerk's office, but we'll get to that later in the presentation. On the bottom of this page too, you'll see ARC's customer service number and our email address. We'll have that up at the end of the presentation as well, so you don't have to frantically write it down right now. Okay, so let's go back to the ARC homepage. So we're at ARC's homepage, www.askarcnassau.com. And in order to file an appeal online, you're going to have to click on the Arrow tab. Now you can see Arrow is an acronym for Assessment Review on the web, and it is on the left side of the homepage. We help you out by guiding you there with that little yellow arrow, and it's boxed out in red. So when you click on Arrow, it will take you to the Arrow portal webpage. This is Arrow's homepage. You'll see it just says, "Welcome to Arrow Assessment Review on the web." On the bottom right, we just want to remind everyone that we've extended the deadline to April 30th. So if this is your first time coming to Arrow, you're going to have to register with ARC, and the registration is just a form so we know how to contact you. If you already have your registration, you can go straight to login, but we'll go over that in a minute, exactly where to go for the login. So for registering with ARC, you see on the left side of the page, it says register with ARC. We're going to click on that. We box it there in red with a yellow arrow to it. And this is the registration form. The registration form is basic contact information, and this is how ARC knows how to contact you. So you don't want to put a dummy email there. You want to make sure you use your email where you receive important messages, because this is how you're going to get your responses from ARC. As you see, you're going to have to fill in everything that's denoted with an asterisk. So it's your name, your address, your email address, user ID and password, and you'll also see in the middle of the form, it's asking if you want to receive correspondence via paper or electronic. Since you're filing online, you're going to want to click on electronic, and this way everything is done through the online system. Once you fill everything out, you'll hit complete registration on the bottom of the page. We highlighted it in yellow. And when you complete the registration, it's going to say, "Thank you for registering with ARC. Please click here to continue." That'll bring you to the home page, and you see now in our example, it says, "Welcome to Arrow Assessment Review on the web, John Smith." So that's how you know you're logged in, when it shows your name right underneath "Welcome to Arrow." When you're done using the website, you always just want to make sure you click on Log Out, and you see Log Out is on the left side of the page, and we highlighted it in yellow. Okay, so let's say you registered, but you didn't have time to file, and you logged out. Let's go through it again. Oh, excuse me. Before we get to that, I also want to just confirm that when you do register for ARC, when you register with ARC, you will get an email sent to you with your contact information listed there, and it's just a receipt saying that you have registered with ARC. Okay, now let's say we went back to Arrow. We're already registered now. What we're going to do is click on Login, which you'll see is on the left side of the page. We boxed it out in yellow. It'll take you to this new page where it says, "Please log in to continue." And that's where you're going to put your user ID and password and click Login to sign into Arrow. Now, if you forget your password, you can always call ARC or send us an email, and we can reset the password for you after a couple of security questions just to make sure it's you. And then we'll set that reset for you, and you can just log in from there. Okay, so let's say you're logged into Arrow now. You see that you're logged in because it says welcome to Arrow, assessment review on the web, and it says John Smith. Now that we're logged in, we're going to go over the first way of how to file today using the sales locator tool. So the sales locator tool is a really neat thing that we've worked up here, where you can search for residential homes that have been sold in your school district in the last 18 months. Sales locator is only going to work for 1, 2, and 3 family homes. It's not going to be available for condos, co-ops, or commercial properties. Just because it's not available doesn't mean you can't file it. You can still file without the sales locator tool. But we like to go over this first so you get an idea of what you're looking to put on these appeals to prove why you believe you're overassessed. So what the sales locator tool does is it looks for those properties that sold in the last 18 months in your school district. When you select the properties you want to use on your appeal, the sales locator tool is going to adjust those sale prices of the property to factor in time of when the market was at the time, and also any other changes, such, let's say if the home that you're comparing yourself has an extra bathroom, or they don't have a basement, you have a basement. Any differences like that, they'll make the adjustments. Once those adjustments have been made, the sales locator tool is going to give you an average sale price of these adjustments, and then say this is what you might want to suggest as what you believe your home should be assessed at for the following year. In order to start using the sales locator, you can see on the left side of the screen it says sales locator, but also on the bottom of the screen where we have a yellow arrow boxed out in red, it says, do you have a good case for filing an appeal? So let's find out. Let's click on that. So when you click on that, it takes you the first step of the sales locator. The first thing is a property search. You are going to be looking for your property at this time. Once the sales locator has your property, then we can find the sales. But in order to find your property, you see that the property search, if you don't know your section, block, and lot, you can put in your house number, your street, city, and zip code. And now you'll see here in our example that street, it just says Christie in the search bar. We did not include street, we didn't include ST. If you live on another place where it's road or way or boulevard, and whichever the case may be, you don't need to include the title of your street. You just need to include the street name. So we have Christie in there rather than Christie Street. If you lived on Elm Road, you would just write Elm. And then what happens is when you search your property, it's going to bring up all the homes that are the property. So it's 504 Christie, and we have the 504 Christie Street in Hempstead, and that's going to be the home that we're going to use to find sales today. So we found our home. We're going to click on the parcel ID, which is boxed out in red, and it's listed right under parcel ID. Okay, so when we click on the parcel ID, it's going to take us to a security question. This security question is there to prove to the system that you are a human filing for your own appeal and that you're not some automated machine or program that is doing automatic filings. So this is very common on a lot of websites now. Just to prove that you're a human, you're just going to look in that little black box with those little distorted letters, type in the letters you see in the entry bar, and then click on continue. By clicking on continue, it's going to move you forward in the sales locator process. So we click on continue once we got our numbers in. And then it brings you to your property. So right now we're John Smith. We're filing for our property at 504 Christie Street in Hempstead. You see in the top box, property information, you see it's got the picture of the home, has your address, the class of the home, if it's 1 family, 2 family, 3 family, what school district you're in, the village, town, and if you have waterfront. That's in that property information box. To the right and the bottom, you see assessment information 2022-23. You see the appeal period started on January 4th, as we've mentioned, and you see it on top of the screen here. that we've extended the filing period to April 30th. So you have until April 30th, not March 1st. You have an extra 60 days to file, but we still encourage that you file as soon as you can. As you see down, you see the level of assessment, and then you see at the last line in that assessment information box, taxable market value and assessed value. The assessed value 461, that's the value as the homeowner, which you're appealing. You're filing this appeal to say, I think that's too high, I want it to be lowered. And by using Sales Locator, you can find sales in your school district, which is going to help provide evidence as to why you believe you're overassessed. Because if you can find a few homes that sold less than what you've been assessed at, you're making a case of why you believe your home should be lowered. So we're just looking at that assessment information box. Now we're going to take a look at the dwelling information box. And we're just going to zoom in on that. So on the dwelling information, you see that it shows your style of your home, the year built, the lot size, living area, half bath, full bath, garage, and basement. Now, if any of that information is incorrect, you can click on change values and then correct the information and hit apply changes. So you see in our example, we're saying that, oh, you forgot that we have another bathroom. We're going to add that bathroom and hit apply changes. By doing that, you're changing the parameters of the Sales Locator. This is going to change the adjustments of the homes that you're using, but it is only for the Sales Locator tool. This does not change the official Nassau County record. In order to get any of this information updated or explained to you, you're going to have to contact the Department of Assessment. The Department of Assessment's phone number is at the bottom. It's 516-571-1500. Once again, just to reiterate, if there are any changes in that dwelling information box, you can make the temporary changes for the Sales Locator by clicking on change values. But to permanently change Nassau County's database, you're going to have to contact the Department of Assessment, request an inspector to come to your property, and update any changes. Okay, so we've made our changes. And then underneath the dwelling information box, we're going to click on Find Sales. When you click on Find Sales, the database from Nassau County is going to pull up all the homes that have sold in your school district in the last 18 months. You can pick up to 5 properties. In our case, we have a couple pages here. We're only going to focus on this first page just for brevity of this presentation. But for some homes, you might not have as many sales. If no sales come up, you can still file an appeal. But we're using this property right now in Hempstead, and they show that there have been quite a few sales in the area. When you click on a sale, it then gets automatically attached to your application. You don't need to do anything. It's as simple as clicking the home. Now, I want to go over what this table is. You'll see on the top is our home, 504 Christie Street. It shows you the style of the home, living area, lot area, year built, and our parcel ID at the end. And then you'll see the home underneath, and the home after that, and the home after that. It is ordered and sorted by proximity to your house. So the closer a sale is to your home, the more accurate of a picture it depicts of what your home might be valued. When you're choosing these sales, you're trying to say that, look, this home, this far from me, very close to me, same style. So we want to try to compare a cape with a cape, try to get around the same living area and lot area. And you could say, look, this home, less than a mile from me, nearly the same size, same style, sold for less than what you've assessed me at. That's the goal here, is to find similar homes to you in the style, living area, lot area, and distance, and then see if they were sold less than what you've been assessed at. So in our example, we just clicked on 3 homes. And like I said, it's as simple as clicking on the box, and you can see which ones we clicked when they're selected. A nice little check will be in that box. We clicked 3, as you can see from the highlighted yellow boxes. When you satisfied with the homes you picked, you can go down to the bottom where it says select checked properties and continue. Click that. When you click on the selected properties, you'll see this new table. And as I mentioned in the beginning of using Sales Locator, there are adjustments, and this table shows you exactly those adjustments. So you'll see all the way to the left is our home, for this example, 504 Christie. And you'll see the homes we selected to the right. When you scroll down, see in that row that is highlighted in the red box, it shows the sale price and the sale date of the homes we've selected. As you go down, you can see more information about each home. They're all one families. They're all capes except for that second home, but we still attached it there anyway. And as you go down, it shows you the lot area, bathrooms, half baths, living area, garage space, and basements. And as you look across those tables, our home, that's the home we're selecting, it's all zeros because there's going to be no adjustments made. But you'll see the other homes that there are adjustments made. And like I said, those adjustments have been made to make those sale prices more likely what your home would be sold at. So you see that we have an extra bathroom than the first sale. Since we have an extra bathroom, we are going to add $10,000 to that sale price to just try to make it more like and more similar to say, oh, if this home had an extra bathroom, that's how much it would cost. And now all these numbers are calculated differently for each. So you'll see in our example, a full bath is $10,000, but if you're in a different town, it might be a different amount. So it's not a standard across every single town and school district in the county. Now, as I mentioned before, in that red highlighted box where it says sale, you see the sale prices. And now after the adjustments in the bottom where it says adjusted sale price, which is highlighted in yellow, you'll see that those prices have varied. They've been adjusted due to the time of when they were sold, and then all of these other factors as the inventory of the home. So we have the adjusted sale prices on the bottom. We're going to click on continue. When you click on continue, there is a disclaimer. The disclaimer is just saying that the sales locator is providing adjusted sale prices. However, this is not the opinion of ARC, and this is not an appraisal. It is just saying that these are the homes that you've selected and that you understand and agree that you're using this strictly as evidence, and this is not going to be exactly what your review will be. Once you click on agree and proceed, you'll see this new table that says results for selected sales. You'll see the weighted adjusted sale price. You'll see the range of the homes we've picked. And then you'll also see the taxable market value. So in the beginning of the presentation, when we were looking at the assessment information of 504 Christie, we saw our assessed value was $461. Now the number above it where it says average adjusted sale price, that is the average of those three properties that we chose through Sales Locator with their adjustments. And it comes out to $477. That $477 is higher than the taxable market value, which we've been assessed at, which is the $461. However, I want to show you that you can still continue to submit an appeal. You can adjust that $477 value. So what we're going to do from here is going to click on continue to submit an appeal. And now this will bring you to the appeal. As you can see, we're still filing using that Sales Locator. When you're brought to the appeal page, it'll say at the top, file a new appeal for tax year 2022-23. And you'll see in the first line, it's asking what type of property. We're going to click on the AR1, and that is just saying that we're filing for a 1, 2, or 3 family home. And when you click on that, you'll see some things drop down. That's the application. You'll see a picture of the home. But before we even get to that, I want to go over just a couple more things. So because we use the Sales Locator, all that information that we've gotten from these using the Sales Locator is going to be pre-populated into the form. you'll see on the application, Part B is going to be auto-populated, and Part E is going to be auto-populated with the sales that we've chosen from the form. And we're going to go deeper into each part, but I just want to show you that when you do use Sales Locator and you continue to submit an appeal, the application is going to be partially filled out for you. You'll also notice on the application that there are going to be these little icons, which are blue circles with a question mark in them next to every question. And you'll see that if you roll over those icons, a little text box is going to come up. And it's going to explain what the question is looking for. This is going to be very helpful for you if you're a little confused or forgot what I went over in this presentation, that if you scroll over, it'll give you an in-depth explanation of what the question is asking. Okay, so now we know we've gotten this far using Sales Locator. Some of the forms of the application are already filled in. We know that if we forgot anything, we can scroll over the blue icons. Now let's look at the application as a whole, and we'll go through each part, starting with Part A. So we use Sales Locator, and because of that, when we go to the application, Part A is going to be partially filled out. You'll see that the parcel ID is already in there, and the picture of our home is already in there as well with the address. Part A is just general information. It's basically asking what properties being asked to be reviewed, who's the homeowner, and what is their ownership. So we're using here, we see taxpayer applicant's full name. Remember, just for the example, we're John Smith. So we type in John Smith. The second question is optional. It says other property owners. So if you want to include your spouse on there, you can do that. This way, if we have to contact you regarding the appeal, either you or your spouse can respond to it. And then underneath that, it says form, and that's just saying what's the ownership of the property, and we're going to say it's the individual. But you see on there, we also have partnership and trust, corporation, association. But just for this example, we're going to say the individual. Okay, let's move on to Part B. So Part B, as mentioned before, has already been pre-populated. Part B is the owner's estimate of the full market value. And the question is applicant estimates and requests for the assessment to be reduced based on the full market value of such and such. Now this value has been populated in from the Sales Locator tool. You can still adjust the value from there if you'd like. So it's not set in stone, whatever value you get from Sales Locator. And then underneath that, you can see is the property offered for sale or under contract. If it's not, just click on that drop down box and click no. If the property is offered for sale or under contract, you can click yes in that drop down box, write the price where it says price, and then you're going to want to attach a listing or the contract to your application. We're going to go over attachments in just a minute moving forward. So let's go to Part C. Part C is the contact information form and the representation. Since you're filing online through Arrow, all the contact information is taken directly from your Arrow account. So once you make your registration, you do not have to fill out Part C ever again. So it's a pretty neat thing that they just take your contact information from there and plug it right into Part C. So Part C is filled out. We know how to contact you. Let's move on to Part D. Now Part D is property information and it is optional. You do not need to fill out this section. You could fill out some of it. You could fill out all of it. But there is no requirements on this section, so you can do as little as you'd like, or as much as you'd like when you're filling in Part D. Depending on your web browser, Part D might be hidden, but you'll see there's a little button above it that's colored fuchsia, and you click on display and it'll show you the entirety of Part D. So Part D is property information, as I mentioned. And as you look down, you'll see it says your year acquired, the price, type of home, what's the property used for? Is it for rent? You can fill out any of that. You don't have to, but you can fill out as much as you'd like. And then underneath that, it says fill in the number of, and it's the inventory of your property. So you could say how many kitchens you have, bathrooms, half baths. And then underneath that, does the house have a garage, AC, waterfront, in-ground, pool, or professional office? As I mentioned, this is all optional. You can fill in as much as you'd like or as little as you'd like. Now, the last question of here, I want to take a minute to focus on, just so everyone kind of understands it. It says, are any of these adjacent to or visible from the house? You see they give us a couple options here, such as the waterfront, railroad, and apartment house. And there's also a box where it says other. So with this part here, you're trying to give the appraisers who review your property an idea of where your home is located. Location, as we know, location matters as far as sale price goes. So you see up top where the first option is waterfront. Now, if you live on the North Shore, waterfront might be beautiful. You're very happy to have that. However, if you're on the South Shore, you might want to click waterfront, and then that other facts box, write why you believe the waterfront is would be a deterrent as to why someone might pay the asking price for your home. So you might want to click on waterfront, write in other facts, house is constantly flooding every time there's a storm. I think the value I've been assessed that is over because no one would buy this property knowing that there is a flooding issue. Same goes, you can do that for the railroad. If you're a commuter into the city, the railroad's great. You're really excited. You get to walk right to the railroad, go right to work and come home. However, if you're not commuting to the city, you can click on the railroad here and other facts, write why you think that is a deterrent. So you could say that the railroad goes through your house every hour or goes through your backyard every hour. You don't use it and it's more of a nuisance than anything else. And as you can see, we also have park, commercial property, golf course. So we're all self-explanatory where you can say exactly why you think that that is a detriment to your home's value. Just want to go over what could be an other. So an other, that box, you could write whatever's a location adjacent to you that is just something that you think matters when you're trying to find the assessed value of your home. So you could say other. You could write in there a fire department. Fire department sirens are going off all the time. In the other, you could write that there's a church, and then on Sundays or Saturdays or on the weekends or at night, you don't have parking because of your proximity to that. If there's paid parking on front of your home, you can write that in there. Whatever the case may be, you can write it in other and then explain yourself in the other facts box. Now, the other facts box is limited to a certain amount of characters. So if a few of these apply to you, or if you want to give in a very in-depth explanation, you can add an attachment. So you can write in a Word file or in a text file exactly everything about your home that you believe needs to be taken into account when assessing your property's value. So this way you can go into detail, you can give an in-depth explanation, and then attach it to your application after it's submitted. And we'll go over that, as I mentioned before, we'll go over attachments. So remember that if other facts starts cutting you off and you can't fit any more text, you can always add a Word document later. Okay, so that's part D, and we're going to move on to part E. Part E is recent sales of similar homes, and as you can see, this section is optional as well. So if you use Sales Locator and you did not find any sales, you do not need to use this section. However, since we did use Sales Locator, the sales that we've selected have been automatically attached to our application, and you'll see that the parcel ID is attached, the sale date, and the sale price. You'll also see there's a blank bar there for comments. If you want to include anything, let's say you're familiar with the home that was sold, you can write your comments in there. Additionally, I want to show you that on the last line of this table in part E, it is blank. We highlighted it in that red box. You can add homes yourself. So let's say you use Sales Locator, you found the sales that you want to include. but you saw a sale, you didn't see a sale on there that you know a property sold, maybe it just wasn't updated, maybe it was a recent sale. Whatever the case may be, you can still search for that property and attach it to your application manually. When you're doing that, you're going to click on the magnifying glass and just search for the property, same as you would search for your property in the sales locator. So you just want to include the house number, the street name, not the street title though. So if it's Elm Street, you just write Elm, the town and the zip code. When you click on that, it'll bring up the property. It'll have the parcel ID, it'll have the address, and you're going to have to put in the sale date, the sale price, and the comments. You're going to want to write your source. So if you got it from a realtor, or if it was from Zillow.com, you can include it there, just so the appraisers at ARC, whoever's reviewing your application, can review the source in which you said it, rather than you can just say, oh, it was from a friend I heard. You got to have the hard facts. Okay, so that's part E. Let's move on to part F. Part F is the statement of claim and certification. This is saying that you are filing on your own property, and where it says signatory certification, by clicking on that, that's like your electronic signature, and that's saying that I'm the owner of the property, I'm the owner of this appeal, I have answered this appeal to the best of my knowledge, and that you're just authorizing that ARC can review your property. Once you put that signature on there, that electronic signature, you're going to click on Submit Application Form. And that's the whole application. You'll see at the last line, caution by clicking the button below, John Smith, that's us, certifies all these statements are true, and we do. So we'll click on the Submit Application. That's the whole application using it from Sales Locator. And now I want to show you the really neat thing about an advantage of filing online rather than paper. So let's say we hit Submit Application. And boom, we made some mistakes. And what's great about filing online is that the mistakes we made are highlighted directly for us. So it's going to say errors found in Part A below. We look at Part A and we see, oh, we forgot to put our name and the form. It's highlighted in red. You can't miss it. If you filed on paper and you made a mistake, it's going to be a little bit longer of a process. ARC has to receive the form, then we have to notify you. Whereas if you do it online, it's all instant. You don't have to worry about any postage, anything with the office, the post office. It's all instantly done for you. So you'll see exactly where your errors are. You'll see that they're highlighted in red. It's even easier to find out where they are. And you can click in there and then just add your information there. So let's say now we found our errors, we put in the correct information, we submitted our appeal again. Voila, we've submitted the appeal successfully. Now, two things are going to happen when you submit your appeal successfully. You'll have this line at the top of the page that says, your appeal has been submitted with the application number such and such. You may make changes and resubmit or choose one of the following, and you see some information there. And you will also receive an email to the email that you attach to your Arrow account confirming that your appeal has been received by Nassau County Assessment Review Commission. It'll have your application number, your parcel ID, and your appeal number. So you get the receipt from filing online, you get an email receipt. This way you have that as proof saying, you know, I already filed this. And you also get a little notification on top of the web page to confirm that you filed. From here, as I went over before, you can choose one of the following. It says return to home page, submit another appeal, or view or add attachments. So as I mentioned throughout the application process, that you can add attachments and you can only add those attachments after your appeal has been filed. Now that we filed the appeal, let's try to add some attachments. This page is going over what I just said, but what we're going to go over, just so you again, you submitted your appeal, that little bar came up on top where it says your appeal has been submitted with the application such and such. You may make changes and resubmit or choose one of the following. And you see that we highlighted that box where it says view or add attachments. As we've mentioned a couple times before too, attachments can only be attached once the appeal has been submitted. So you will not see this until you submit your application. I also want to confirm that you can add attachments up until the last filing day, which is April 30th. You can add attachments to Arrow. So let's say you submit your appeal, you didn't have time, you can log back in later and then add attachments there. You can do it in May, not in May. You can do it in March and April. By May, you will not be able to add attachments via Arrow. However, if you do want to add attachments after the filing deadline, you can mail them to ARC, and I'll put an address up on the screen. So let's say we want to view or add attachments. Since we haven't added anything yet, you'll get this little page where it says no documents found for this application. Would you like to add one now? We're going to say yes. Yes, it'll bring you this little upload document page where you'll see it'll explain that you can add a file up to 100 megabytes, and it's down there, file to submit. You'll click on choose file. When you click on choose file, you'll have to search your computer for the application, or excuse me, for the attachment you want to add to your appeal. We're just going to use this test one. Or let's see, pardon me. So we have the test on that. We're going to add that to your appeal. It says type of documentation. As you see, we're going to choose legal document, but on the right side of the screen, you see the different options. It could be a photo, a map, any other documents, correspondence. This is if your house is for sale, you would put the listing here and you can go from there. So once we've chosen our file, we're going to do this test.pdf as a legal document. And we're going to click on submit submit attachment. When we click on submit attachment, we'll now go back to that application document attachments page, and you'll see that we have our document for the application attached. From here, you can add a new document by clicking on upload new document. So you have this legal document. Let's say you want to add photos of your home as well. You can do that. If you want whatever else you want to add, you can add it right there by clicking on upload new document. As I mentioned before, ARC can only accept electronic attachments up until the filing deadline, which has been extended to April 30th. If you do want to add anything to your appeal after the filing period ends, you're going to have to mail them to the address listed below. That's the Assessment Review Commission, 240 Old Country Road, 5th floor, Mineola, New York, 11501, and just make it to the attention of the residential supervisor. We're going to put ARC's mailing address up again at the end of the presentation. So if you don't write this down now, it will be brought up again later. Okay, so we've submitted an application. We use Sales Locator to do it, and then we added an attachment. Now we click on Return to Appeal form. Now that we're looking at our appeal, this is our submitted appeal, and you can tell because in Part A, where it says status, it says received. That means ARC has received your appeal, and it is going to be pending. You can check, as I mentioned before, the online process is pretty cool because you can check and get real-time appeal. So if you log out of Arrow, you log back in a couple months, you can log in, go to appeal filing status change, and you can check on the status of your appeal. If it still says received, that means it's still pending with ARC. When a decision is made, you'll see that that received will be updated. Okay. So let me just go back over one more thing on this page where it says received. Now that we've submitted our application, it says received, we can just log out of Arrow. So we'll click on log out, and then poof, you're out of there. You've submitted your application, and it's going to be taken care of by ARC. You don't have to worry about anything. You have an email that's a receipt. You don't have to worry about if it's getting lost in the mail or anything like that. It's all done and taken care of for you. So that is the process of filing with the sales locator tool. Now I want to go over now how to file without the sales locator tool. You might want to file without the sales locator tool if you don't have enough time, or if you don't find any sales in your area, or if you have a condo or a co-op when you can't use a sales locator. So let's go over that. So we're going to go over now filing an appeal without using sales locator. And it's the same process as in the beginning, where you're going to log into Arrow. If you haven't, you can always register, and then now you'll see it says welcome to Arrow, assessment review on the web, John Smith, so you know we're signed in. Now, if you want to file without the sales locator, you can click on the left side where it says file an appeal. You'll see that we marked that with the number 1. That's boxed out in red. Or go down to the bottom of the page here where it says number 2, boxed out in red, it says file an appeal. So you have 2 different ways of filing this appeal online. Let's just say we click on one, doesn't matter. Regardless, it'll bring you right to the application page. There is no property search in the very beginning. There is no sales. It's just right to the application. So what we're going to do is drop down, look for that AR1, which is just saying you're filing for your property, which is a 1, 2, or 3 family home. When you click on AR1, you'll see now Part A is brought up, and Part A is blank. That is because Arrow doesn't know what your property is yet. It's like when we use Sales Locator, it knows your property because that's the property we use to search for sales. But because we're going directly to the application, it does not know your property. So what we're going to have to do is in Part A, to find your property, you click on that magnifying glass if you do not know your parcel ID. And this is like how we went over everything before. It's going to have, it's going to ask for your number, street, town, and zip. And as you notice again here in street, we only wrote Christie. We did not include ST or street. All you need to do is include your street name. Click on search, we find the property, and we'll click on its parcel ID. When we click on the parcel ID, now you'll see Part A is filled in with the parcel ID, a picture of the home, and it says the owner. But just like Part A, when you file without sales locator, you're going to have to still write in the applicant's full name. We're John Smith right now, where it says property owners. As mentioned before, if you want to include your spouse or any of the owners on the property, you include that in there. This way ARC can then speak to them as well if they ever call inquiring about the status of the appeal. And underneath that, there's that drop-down box. It says form, and that's just saying who's the ownership of the property. And we're saying John Smith is the individual owner of 504 Christie, and he's now the owner of this appeal, and he's going to submit the appeal on his own rather than filing with a company. So now we'll move on to Part B. Part B is the owner's estimate of the full market value. This section is required. And you'll notice that it is blank. It's blank because we have not yet put any information in there. When we use Sales Locator, it just takes that average price and puts it in, but it is blank right now because there's no information. So you'll just type in what you believe the assessed value of the home should be. And then same question after, is the property offered for sale? No. You just click on no. If it is offered for sale, click on yes, write the price, and we'll add the attachment later. So Part A and Part B we've filled in. Now we can move on to Part C. Part C was the contact information and representation. And because we're filing on Arrow, this section is actually automatically filled in. Even though we're not using Sales Locator, it still just takes your information from your Arrow account. So it says representation self, and it just uses your contact information from your account. So you want to make sure all that information's up to date. This way, when ARC responds to your appeal, you can receive it. We'll move on to Part D. Part D, property information, same thing as before. It's optional. You can fill in as much as you'd like or as little as you'd like. And you have the same questions. So it's the number of bathrooms, kitchen, other rooms, and then also, are any of these things visible to your home? We've already gone over this, but I just want to show you that filing with sales locator without, you still get the same application. Now, let's move on to Part E. So Part E is recent sales of similar home. As we can see, this section is optional and it's blank because we did not use sales locator. But just like sales locator, there is that empty cell of the table and you can add homes there. So if you can leave this whole section blank if you'd like, move on. Or if you did some research on your own of sales in your area, you would just go to that magnifying glass, search for the property that you want to attach. And when it's brought up, then you'd have to write the sale date, sale price, and the comments. You want to just say your source. So if it was Zillow, you can just write Zillow on there. Or if there's any other comments you'd like to include. And just like the other application, you can add as many sales as you like to your appeal, or you don't have to add any. Move on to Part F. And now Part F, same thing. It's just a statement of claim of certification. You'll see that it's got those letters in there that you got to write in, just so the form knows that you're a human filing for your human home. And then the signatory certification, that's just your electronic signature. You click on the owner of record because you're the owner of the property, owner of this appeal. And by clicking on that button, you're saying that you certify all the statements are true. Click on submit appeal. And just like filing with the sales locator, if there are any mistakes made, it's going to be highlighted in red and tell you directly where those mistakes are. So you can click into those boxes and fill in and correct any mistakes that you've had. Once you correct those mistakes, boom, you can submit your appeal. It's going to have that same statement, same options. So it says your application number, and you can view or add attachments. And you also get an email receipt saying that ARC has received your application. So now we've gone over how to use Sales Locator, how to file with Sales Locator, and how to file not using Sales Locator. We've also gone over how to add attachments to your appeal. The next part, I want to go over how to make changes to your appeal during the filing period. Let's move on. So let's say you submitted your appeal, you did it today, it's February 1st, but you see that we extend the deadline to April 30th and it's in March now, and you're like, oh, you know what, I forgot, I want to add this to my appeal. So we're going to go over how to make changes to your appeal during the filing period using Arrow. So you log back into Arrow. You can see that we're logged in right now where it says welcome to Arrow, assessment review on the web, and it says John Smith, which is our name. And then on the left side of the page, you'll see it says appeal filing, status change. We box it out in red with a yellow arrow pointed there, and you can click on that. When you click on that, it's going to show you your appeals. You see that we have our appeal there. It has our application number, appeal number, the parcel ID, address, the date we submitted it, the status received. Remember, received just means that it was received by ARC and it's pending. And it shows you the tax year 22-23. It also still has our doc, that test file that we added before. Let's say you want to make any changes now to your application, you click on the application number. The application number is going to be highlighted in blue on your screen. This way you know it's a hyperlink. And it's also boxed out in red for the presentation so you know exactly what we're talking about. So you want to make changes to your appeal, you click on that application number. It would show your whole appeal. We're just going to focus on Part B right now. As far as our example goes, I said, oh, we submitted this in February, today, March 1st. March comes along and you go, you know what, I actually want to change Part B. I think I want to change what I think the home's worth. So you go to your appeal. We're looking at it right now. We go to Part B, and you're going to make the edit you want. So we're going to change the applicant's estimation of what the full market value should be. We change that, and then we just click on the Submit Changes button, which is in the same line where it says Part B. It's on the right side of the page in the presentation, and it's also boxed out with red. Every single part of the appeal is going to have that button that says Submit Changes. So anytime you make a change to any part of the application, you just click on Submit Changes. You don't need to resubmit the appeal. You don't need to do anything else. You just click on Submit Changes, and then it's updated. You can do any of these changes or additions up until the filing deadline, which we know is April 30th. Okay, so we've submitted our changes. So we've now submitted changes. Let's say we also want to add more documents. So we go, okay, we submitted our change. We changed the value of the home, and I also want to add some documents to prove why I'm changing the value of my home as well. So you'll see again, on the top, it says ARC Communications and Attachments. This is on your application page. We boxed it out in red here, but it's that little button in line where it says Assessment Review Commission Application for Correction of Assessment, AR1. You click on that, and it takes us back to our document page where it says Application Document Attachments. Remember, we attached that test file earlier, and you have the options here of deleting that test file, or you can upload a new document. If you click on the Upload a New Document, excuse me, you would have uploaded a new document. So now we went over how to make those changes. And now the final thing I want to go over for the application of filing online, let's say you need to withdraw your appeal. If you sign back into Arrow, log in, go to the appeal status filing change, just like if you're going to make any changes to your application, click on your application number. It brings you to your application. You'll see in Part A, underneath the picture of your home, there's a button that says Withdraw Appeal. We highlighted it in a red box for this presentation. You just click on Withdraw Appeal, and you'll get a little pop-up window that comes up. Now, if you don't get a pop-up window, just check on your browser setting to see if the pop-up blocker is up. If the pop-up blocker is up, you're just going to want to allow it the one time for this website. Click on Withdraw Appeal again, and you'll get this little window. And it'll be a little form just saying that you agree and understand what you're doing, saying you read the terms of the agreement. Click on that, click on Agree, and then you will withdraw your application. When you withdraw your application, you'll get a little line at the top that says the application was successfully withdrawn. And you also see the status now went from received to withdrawn. So for this presentation, what we've gone over is how to get to Arrow, how to register with Arrow. Once you're registered, we've gone over how to file an appeal using Sales Locator. We also went on to go explain how to file an appeal without using Sales Locator. And then we also went over how to add attachments either right after you submit your application or a couple of days later. We also went over how to submit any changes. And finally, we went over how to withdraw your appeal if you need to do that. I want to now turn it over to see if we have any questions. I've been doing the presentation. We'll look over that. And while I'm answering questions, I just want to leave this page up. It's the Assessment Review Commission's contact information. So you see I left our website up there again, the customer service phone number, the email address, and I want to make it also absolutely clear to everyone that we have extended the filing period to April 30th. Okay, so let's review questions.
All right, thank you, Nick, and good afternoon. Actually, still quite the morning. Good morning, everybody. My name is Jeremy May. I am the Vice Chairperson of the Assessment Review Commission. I wanted to thank you all for joining us this morning, thank Nick for the presentation, and to join him in answering your questions. try to offer a broader perspective, make sure that we absolutely get to every question that was asked, and to provide the most assistance that we possibly can. So Nick, thank you again, and let's get right to it. So this first question is actually an important one. Is there a way to save your work if you have not submitted your application yet? And the short answer is no. So I think Nick tried to encourage during this presentation that you basically get a confirmation number, get your application in the door, and then after you have that confirmation number, you can work as much or as little on your application for the entire duration of the filing period, all the way up to April 30th. So I wouldn't recommend starting an application, wandering away from it and coming back to it. It will eventually time out and you will lose the work that you have done. So instead, what our recommendation is, if that you're concerned about the time you're going to spend on the application, that you fill it out with the required fields, which is your name, the value that you think your property is worth, and certify that the information that you are submitting is true to the best of your knowledge. You submit that application and you get a confirmation number, so you know that you have a timely appeal. And then after you have that confirmation number, you can work as much or as little on the application as you want to up until April 30th. Okay. Is it better to file today or wait until 4:30 so we can have a better sales data on the sales locator? We certainly don't recommend that you wait until April 30th in any event. And I don't think that waiting for updated sales for the sales locator is an advantage that overcomes the risk that if you wait until April 30th, something may happen that, delays your filing, and then, we have an unfortunate situation. We at ARC absolutely recommend that if you are going to file an application with us, that you do it basically as soon as possible. That way you have that confirmation number, you have that peace of mind. And, if you wanted to look at your application again on April 28th, April 29th, or April 30th to see if Sales Locator has new data that you would find useful, that you can do so and you can amend your application to include that updated data. But certainly, don't wait until 4:30, and certainly don't wait until 4:30 because you think that the sales locator may have new information. That would not be our recommendation. Okay. Our next question is about location detriments. So I think Part D would be useful here. If there are factors about your neighborhood that would make it unattractive to a prospective buyer, you should tell us about that in Part D. If there isn't a field specifically marked for your specific concern, we do have a field that's marked other that you can, write an explanation in of what you're concerned about. And even then, if you find that you don't have enough space to quite tell us, the entire circumstance, after you file your appeal, get your confirmation number, you can actually write us up a little letter in a Word document and attach that letter like Nick demonstrated. And then we can take that information under review. Okay. This next question is about the assessment freeze and whether the assessment pause, assessment freeze would indicate that one should not file an appeal during this year. Each county tax year stands by itself. So, the fact that 22-23 is an assessment pause does not necessarily inform on one's decision to file an appeal or not. The question we at the Assessment Review Commission recommend that you ask yourself is, do you find that the assessment is accurate, or do you find that your property is overassessed? And, the circumstances of the roll being paused does not really inform on that. You can take a look at the sales locator, search for your property, see what similar homes in your neighborhood are selling for. You can look at other resources like Zillow, or perhaps consult one of your local realtors. Do your own research, arrive at your conclusion. If it is your conclusion that your property is overassessed, the fact that the 22-23 roll was paused, I would think would not be a reason to not file. Okay, that next question was similar to the one that I just took on. Again, each county tax year stands by itself. And the question that we recommend that everyone ask themselves is my property overassessed for that tax year? Okay. Okay. This follow-up question is in regards to those local detriments. And the question is there some sort of registry for local detriments? The answer is not to our knowledge. If you are concerned that there are, neighborhood factors that, the Department of Assessment is not necessarily taking into account, we will probably recommend contacting the Department of Assessment's customer service line and seeing if they could assist you with updating your neighborhood information with any detriments that you are aware of. And again, you can contact the Department of Assessment's customer service line at 571-1500. Okay. So at this time, we've taken all of the questions that have been asked. There is still that 30-second delay between what we say and show you to when you see and hear it. So we are going to be on for a couple minutes still, and we're happy to take any new questions as they come in. Okay, a new question, is there a registry for abandoned houses? Again, that's not something that we are aware of. If you are concerned that there are neighborhood factors that the Department of Assessment is not aware of, we would recommend that you contact their customer service line and inform them that way. All right, so while we are waiting for some more questions, I'll just take this moment to thank again Legislator Drucker for inviting us to speak with you today. We all hope that we assisted you. And I'll again thank Nick for the presentation and our team members, Rob and Michael, who have been assisting us behind the scenes. Okay, I think we'll give it just another couple of minutes till about 11:15. And if we don't see any other questions in that time, we'll go ahead and end our presentation for this morning. We thank you all for joining us today and hope that you are safe and warm in this weather. Let's see here.
I just want to point out that in the you should all see in the Q&A section that one of our producers, Michael, has posted the links to the Assessment Review Commission, our hours, our email address, as well as a link to directly download the brochure. And also, in case you need to contact Department of Assessment, the phone number and a link to a form you can fill out to get any questions answered by Department of Assessment. And that, again, is all in the Q&A that was sent out by our producer. So please feel free to take a look at that if you do need to do so. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much for joining us. We appreciate you taking the time. We remind you to please stay off the road, stay home, stay safe, and enjoy the rest of your day. Thank you so much.